Hey, Magic Man here, and today I'm going to be taking out my Tier 3 Wakatake. It's a Japanese destroyer, and I feel like it's a pretty good representation of the next couple of tiers that you're going to be playing in this ship. The Isokaze, the Minikaze, the Mitsuki, and then the destroyer after that, I think it's the Hatsuharu, are all going to play pretty much like this ship. So I feel like it's a pretty good example, and I actually decided to start my Japanese destroyer line not too long ago because it looks like Wargaming is splitting the Japanese destroyer line into two trees. The closest thing I could think of is going to be like a light destroyer line and then a heavy destroyer line, where the Minikaze is going to be the light destroyer. It's going to be small, fast, fast torpedo reload, and then you're going to have the heavier destroyers starting at tier 5 as well, with the Mitsuki, which a lot of people hate at tier 6. They think it's an underpowered ship, and I don't blame them. The visibility gets bumped up a little bit from the Minikaze, and I don't know if I don't quite agree, because I believe your torpedoes are 7 kilometers still too, so it's definitely not that good of a ship. Not to mention that the guns are awful. I think they have a 10-second reload, 45-second turret rotation time. It's just, in my opinion, it's a bad ship. But anyways, back to the gameplay here. I might even throw a picture of the proposed tech tree up at the end of this video. We'll see. But anyways, I'm in a tier 4 match, and I am in a tier 3 destroyer, so it's going to be a little bit of an uphill battle. And there are carriers. I'm not a huge fan of carriers at this particular tier because a good player can really skew the match results, really at any tier, because a carrier is just a hard counter for every ship in the game, and there's not a whole lot you can do about it other than have excellent AA and just try and shoot the flames down before they can even drop on you. But most of the time they usually get a couple of bombs or a couple of torpedoes off at least, regardless of how good your AA is. But anyways, going over here to the east side of the map, see if I can spot some ships for my allies to shoot at. And we got a couple of ships here. Can't quite see how the enemy team has deployed yet. There is an enemy Phoenix, which I'm a little bit worried about. They got pretty fast firing 6-inch guns. They can really be a hassle if they can spot you and keep you spotted, because they're also fairly fast as far as cruisers are concerned. I think they go 33 knots. Tier 4, that's pretty fast for a cruiser. And I'm not quite sure which way he's going to go. I'm thinking maybe he's going to turn around. Maybe he's going to continue to drive in a straight line. I wasn't sure. If I had another torpedo rack, it would have been great, because I could have planted one left, middle, and right of where I thought he was going to go. But he ends up going around this island over here. I'm guessing it's because he spotted most of my team and decided maybe it's not such a great idea to be charging over here. So start landing some shots on them, although they're not very accurate. And it's kind of almost a broad-sized Phoenix. I'd have figured they'd have been completely melting his health away, but that wasn't the case. So I decide to fire some torpedoes in there, maybe hit the Phoenix while he's going around the south side of that island, and also spot the destroyer on the other side of this island. Well, I didn't technically spot him, and I'm looking to see if those torpedoes might hit that St. Louis, and it's looking like one or two of them's gonna be on a pretty good track to whack them. And this is when I pop my engine boost, because I really don't want to get spotted by this destroyer and give away my position. So I did manage to get out of his spotting range because it was, I think, around 5.5 kilometers away from me, which is close enough to spot me. So I just got out of his spotting range before he came around the corner. And I do land one torpedo on the St. Louis. And it looks like our carrier is actually going to take care of that destroyer over there, which is great. I love it when carriers do that. It saves me the trouble of having to deal with them. And he actually does land a torpedo on him. And looks like he got maybe another one, and he's gone. I heard gunfire, and I turned and looked to see our friendly St. Louis charging down this flank over here. So I'm like, well, better get out of his way. Because I'm sure he was scoped in and had no idea I was in front of him. I decided to fire some more torps at this battleship. But in hindsight, it was probably a bad idea. With all the carrier's aircraft down here, there was no way that I was going to hit him. Those torpedoes definitely are going to get spotted by the aircraft. And I do actually turn my AA on to try and help this battleship out. And wouldn't you know it, I actually shoot down one carrier plane, surprisingly. Even though my AA rating, I think, is like a rating of 5 or something. It's awful. It's basically a dude standing on the deck with a handgun. And just as I thought, yeah, the fighters flew over my torpedoes as they were coming in, and the Kaiser sees them and turns away. Now, he may have been turning to run away anyways, but I'll never know. I'm thinking, maybe I can shoot this Phoenix, but somebody else lands a shot on him and kills him. And
engine boost deactivated.
I see this guy right in front of me on the minimap. I'm like, oh, he's not moving. What's going on? Oh, and he ran into the carcass of our St. Louis, so I'll have to avoid this guy. Because I did just fire at that battleship, so I unfortunately didn't see where my shots landed. This guy is basically at the extreme of my range. So I don't know if any of those shells are actually going to land. Nope, and we get one non-penetrating hit. Did no damage. Big surprise. Probably landed on the side of a ship or something. And I wasn't really too worried about that Phoenix. Down at this tier, a lot of people seem to like zero in on a target and they don't bother to look around to see what's going on. And at this point, I'm trying to decide if I should go down the 7 and 8 line and torpedo these ships, 2 remaining ships, or if I should head north and try and head off the enemy ships that are heading towards our base. And I decide to head over here and try and stop the enemy team from getting to our base. I figure if I can kill a couple of them, or even one of them, it might turn the battle in our favor there. And sorry there, for whatever reason my recording software just like dropped a whole bunch of frames right there, so as you can see I skipped about, I don't know, 100 meters ahead. Nothing really happened. Just for whatever reason my recording software decided to take a crap on me right there. But still sailing north. And I'm kind of looking around at all these battleships, just kind of rubbing my hands together maniacally, because these are the type of ships that I typically want to launch torpedoes at, because for whatever reason battleship drivers think it's a good idea to drive in straight lines, which it's not. In a battleship you should typically always be changing your course, at least I try to when I drive one. I'm trying to decide if I should go through this cut or head to the north side of this island. I decided to go through the cut because all the enemy battleships are going to be coming around here, and I figure by the time I get on the other side of it, I'll be able to launch some torpedoes at the South Carolina. And I have a friendly battleship on the south side of the island that I'm about to cut through here that's going to help out this South Carolina. And I kind of feel bad for this battleship driver because he way overextended himself in a ship that is not very good. It's slow, doesn't really have that great armor. Guns are very inaccurate. And there he is. In hindsight, I probably should have turned north here. I only fire off one rack because I'm thinking he's pretty preoccupied. I can probably close the distance and kill him But after that salvo comes in from our friendly player to the south of us, I decided I'm just gonna head on north and not waste any more torpedoes. And sure enough, he fires his last 2 guns and kills that South Carolina. I'm actually turning here to try and stay away from these dive bombers. I don't want to get spotted. Unfortunately, I think that friendly battleship over there, his time is about nigh. So I launch off some torpedoes. I'm thinking, they might get spotted by the dive bombers, they might not.
Boost activated.
And this is the point where it's kind of like, I need to get around this island so I can stay undetected. But it didn't quite happen, which sucks. But the great thing is, this guy was nonetheless wiser. He just sailed right on into those torpedoes without a care in the world. And you'll actually see that a lot of those went a little bit south of that battleship, and that was because I was expecting him to turn in more. But he just kept on sailing on out, which is perfectly fine. It's hard to predict where people are going to be. It's even harder to hit them when you've only got 2 racks of torpedoes. So I've already seen that this guy isn't really big on course changes, so I just fire him right at the torpedo indicator and go ahead and turn away, because I'm pretty positive that I'm going to land those torpedoes and kill him. And sure enough, just looking, checking him out, and it looks like he's going to sail right into him. There we go, 1, 2. Got his engine slowed down, trying to turn in, but doesn't matter. Took another 2. And that was it for that battleship. And as I'm looking down there, I see the enemy Asakaze. And then I spot the carrier. Now normally, it's a good idea to go into the cap and make the enemy ships come back, but we have a ship lead, and this carrier is still bombing our battleships. So I kind of want to get rid of him. So I do turn, I stay out of the cap. And another reason I didn't go into this cap is because I have 2 friendly ships coming
Engine
up from the
boost
south
deactivated.
on the east side of the map. They are definitely going to get in the cap because they honestly can't make it anywhere else to shoot anybody. They're just too far away. The ships are too slow.
Taking the lead.
So I decided to go after this carrier because we pretty much got this match in the bag at this point. Just kind of sneaking up on him. I want to get as close as I can before I start launching torpedoes at him, because he is sailing away from me. And while the Langley is a very slow ship, I think it has a top speed of like 18 knots. He is a carrier, and I don't know if he's out of all of his dive bombers, or if he's going to be able to bring them back and rearm them. I can't remember if the Langley has torpedo bombers or not, but that was also on my mind as well. So here come his dive bombers back. I know they're empty because he struck one of our friendlies. And this is just kind of like torpedo herding. I want him to turn north, because if I keep traveling in this direction, it's going to turn him basically side, or his broadside is to me, and I can launch some torpedoes into the side. It's not happening. He's just going to continue to drive in a straight line, which is fine. I know at least one of my torpedoes is going to hit if he continues to travel in a straight line. And hit one torpedo, knocks out his engine. I know he can't repair it because he repaired the fire that I set on him earlier. So long straight at his indicator, because I know he's not going to be going much anywhere at all. And I do actually target these dive bombers. drop in kind of a star pattern. They drop
Our
on
team has taken the
like
lead.
you got your broadside with them coming in. As you can see there, 2 of my torpedoes hit. Sink the carrier. And that's pretty much going to be the game. Our 2 friendlies are in the base capturing. We have a friendly down south. I believe it's the carrier. It's actually a battleship. That was reset in the destroyer. Now we just gotta wait. It was fairly well played by my team. Everybody in the north decided to kind of actually a little bit northwest of this map. Played fairly defensively. The rest of the team to get up here and cap the base and maybe get over here and kind of sink that battleship. Help out a little bit. So we end up with 75,000 damage on torpedo hits, 15 shots, pellets, 1100 base experience, 2 ships sunk, and most of our damage came on that battleship and the carrier, but made 108,000 credits and 2,000 commander XP. Thanks for watching. Okay, so here are the pictures of the new Japanese destroyer tech tree, and this is actually the Asian WoW server picture. Anyways, they have the Mitsuki at tier 5 and the regular, and then the Minakaze over here at tier 5, and what I think is going to be the heavy. And then they've got this new ship at tier 7, which I think is the Sea Hull of Fubuki, basically. And then you've got 3 new ships, which I'm not quite sure what they're going to be. And then this is actually the North American release version, where they got the Minakaze right before the Fubuki, and then the Mitsuki over in the new, what I think is going to be heavy destroyer tree. So there's a little bit of a mix-up there between the Asian and North American server. But anyways, you still got the same ships in the same place. But the Kagero has been moved down to tier 8, which is where I think it needed to be, and the Fubuki's been moved down to tier 7, and what I think is going to be the light destroyer line. But anyways, just a quick look at what it might look like. I'm sure Wargaming